And we're live. What's up, Kingdom of Rock? This is Matt Gibson, and I'm here today with our awesome panel of guests, co-host Michael Melinda in San Francisco. How's it going, Mike?
Good. I'm just trying. I keep getting. I can never figure this out. What's left or right with this thing, but there's our people. Everything's fine. No, there's our people.
Dude, I don't like this new shot without the weather window. I can't ask you questions about the weather without like being completely out of context now.
No, I know. I can give you a little bit of that window. There you go.
Oh, okay.
You want me to get that phone?
Yeah. What's that? Shut up, phone.
Dude, put him on the show.
It's usually the dogs. Dogs' phones. Hi, gang. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
So
hello, Kingdom of Rock. And Matt got the intro right this time, so let's all.
I did. Thank you. Well, today it's a cool day. This is the first person that I've had on my show that I went to high school with, which is kind of cool. Although John Darnell, technically I went to the same high school as John Darnell, but
you had John Darnell on before me?
Yeah.
Dude.
All right. I'm sorry, man.
We'll talk later.
So my friend Dave and we went to high school back in the day. You know, we won't say what day it was, but it was a while back, you know. And, Dave's always been into music and, guitar player. We were both kind of had a little competing guitar thing for a little bit, at least in my mind at the time we did. I don't know. And, so Dave's been growing. Dave got into business. And when he got out of high school and built this huge company, it became a, business guru. But his passion for music's always been like, there. And so Dave got with our other guest down here, Mr. Preston Nash, and they formed this thing called Earache Records. So welcome Dave Fullinger and Preston Nash from Earache Records. How's it going?
Thank you.
Was that right? Did I kind of get it?
Yeah.
Well, Dave, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about Earache Records and what it actually is?
Yeah, and not to take over control and just pass it right to Preston, but this truly is the brainchild of Preston, something that he's worked on for years and years. I think it's been a dream for 20 plus years. And so if it's okay, Preston, really lay out what Earache Records is.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's basically a program where we build bands, and we started it back. We're in really our 9th year. We started doing this a while ago. We were working through another company, and then once COVID shut the world down, we were faced with the situation of either not doing it at all anymore or doing it on our own. Dave and I had been talking, and we started with doing online lessons during the shutdown. That led to getting a temporary warehouse space, and then that led to finding a permanent space, and here we are. This is something that my wife and I have talked about doing we're married 18 plus years, and we've been talking about it pretty much that entire time. And our initial plan was to do it on our own, and then one thing led to another, and we started it up again, working through one of the music retail companies, and we did it through them for about 8.5 years, and built
it up. Yeah. I'm sorry, but the music journalist in me is weighing in. I apologize. I still kind of don't know what this is or why you needed the space that you got. For people who kind of aren't aware of that, could you kind of tell them exactly what you offer musicians and why the space was important? Because I'm a little bit in the dark so far.
Sure thing. It's basically a music school, and after work, after school, music school. We offer private lessons in some of the core rock instruments: guitar, bass, drums, vocals, and we built this band program. It's different from most other of the widely known band programs because we actually put people into groups, and that's their group for from usually about 3 months. That's our typical session, but we've had groups that have been together for 5 or 6 years already.
So if I wanted to play guitar, your school might teach me guitar, but you would also put me in a band with a bass player and a keyboard player, a singer, whatever. So I would not only learn my individual instrument, but I would learn how to play in a band as well. Is that fair?
Exactly. And we offer the flexibility where some of our students just come in just for private lessons, and some of them just come in for the band programs. We have a lot of members in our program that are actually really advanced musicians that really maybe not necessarily be the best candidate for weekly guitar lessons. So they just really come in to be part of the band program. We book the shows for the groups. We provide the gear. We haul the gear, set it up, tear it down. So we kind of do it all. So it makes it a little bit easier for them to just kind of walk in with their guitar or their drumsticks and play.
Yes. And I'd say that a big differentiator for us is that the focus has always been on artist development. So not just learning an instrument or learning to play in a band, but really getting way more performance opportunities out there. And now it's even evolving into offering recording. We've got several bands that play only originals. And these are 14 and 15-year-old kids that are just, friggin' amazing. But then from a business side of things, what I get excited about is the entire landscape of business, earning a living in the music industry. It has been completely transformed over the last 30 years. It used to be starving artists and a little sliver of superstars, and that's what kept everyone going. And now, through intelligent marketing, through technology and ability to record more cost effectively, what could we teach these folks from a marketing standpoint, from a legal representation standpoint, and who knows where it could go in their development as an artist, whether they chose to pursue that as a career that provided a living or just a great hobby that you didn't have to go buy golf clubs for.
Well, hi, Toby, by the way. And also, if I contract with your school, it's like you're managing me. It's like you're getting my gigs. You're being the roadie for my gear.
Yeah.
I just show up at whatever gig you get me, and oh, look, everything's all here. And then I get to go home right after, and you guys slug the gear out of there.
Yep.
Where were you when I was 20 years old myself?
Yeah, dude. Do you guys travel to California? Because I got some gigs coming up. I'd love to be part of Rock Garage.
Oh, actually, that's a good point. Where are you guys based? Where's the company based?
We're based out of Indianapolis, Indiana, and but obviously we offer virtual lessons as well, so anyone can do private lessons virtually. But one thing that it's not just we put bands together, book shows, and put them out. They work every week with one of our music directors, either myself or one of the other ones, and they're the ones that help them either get their sound together, almost act like a producer, help the bands working on original music to kind of craft them, teaching a little theory along the way, the songwriting process and such. For the groups that kind of just stick to covers, we just help them put the pieces together and help them figure out how to make it work for their group. And then, yes, of course, we go out. My philosophy was you get good on stage, and one show is worth countless rehearsals. So that's why we get our players performing quite a bit, because that's where you really get seasoned.
Yeah, but I mean that's a lot. I mean, you guys are like doing the old Motown thing, where it's like you're doing the A&R and the artist development practically, which is awesome. But if I'm going to do that, I mean, you guys have to make some money too. If you're going to do all that for me,
sure.
Is this like a take one from column A or B menu? Like if I take my classes, it's going to cost me this. If I'm in the band pro, it's going to cost me that. If you're going to get me the gigs, it's going to cost me this. Or how do you kind of work it out for your own business model?
Yeah,
so revenue. Sorry.
So the revenue model is really based around a simple membership model, and the lessons are treated more as a la carte. So that'd be like with scheduling something with a private trainer. But the band program is belonging to a gym, and you still get access to, you know, all of our equipment, you know, our professional trainers. And we have individuals who want to belong in one band or two or even three. And so there are different membership levels based on the commitment they're willing to make. But it's truly a membership as opposed to just a la carte everything.
Okay, so let's say you get an artist that comes up, and you know, match them up with some other artists, and you get something that's just unbelievable, right? You get a great mix, right?
Yeah.
So how do you take it to the next level for artists that are ready to start looking at playing on the world stage?
Well, that is a great question, and that's part of the reason why we're doing this on our own now. You know, aside from just the pandemic and the COVID situation, this really has opened our ability to do things that we couldn't do prior. So we're just getting started. One of the first things that we've done, and we've only had our doors open here since September 1st. One of the first things that we've done is we have basically a recording studio, you know, being built in progress, and we've already started doing some recordings out of it. Yeah, I would love to see this kind of become almost like its own little mini record label to a degree, where, like you said, like Motown, where it's all kind of in-house. We're finding the artists, developing the talent, recording them now with the internet, and you know, it's easy to distribute things that, you know, years before you had to manufacture physical product. Now you don't have to. Doing all these things is a lot easier, and so yeah, that's kind of like the vision for this, is to make it a musical educational place. Offers lessons, you improve your skills, but yeah, it's also a place where it really truly is art of development in the truest sense, where we're developing these bands or individual artists, and we're trying to build now the tools to take them to that next level.
Which is really a great business concept, because, you know, Dave, I'm sure like all the business books that I've read talk about finding something that no one else wants to do, artist development, right? Labels don't want to develop artists anymore, right?
Exactly right.
So you find a need, or you in your niche, and you start to serve customers, because artists, like, I'm 50 years old. I'm getting ready to release my first track soon. I'm going to have world-class musicians on it. I think Dave's already heard it. And it's like, I didn't know so many things. There's so many things that I didn't anticipate, and as climbing the ladder and getting to the point where, if you want to really put a track out there and create a project that a lot of people are going to care about, there's so many different steps to it.
Yeah, and I think you know, one of the things that attracted to me to this as a model was two things that really Preston and all his efforts and Rocky's efforts that have brought to this. First, Preston Nash, the guy is, you know, toured internationally, played you know, in front of crowds in the hundreds, I'm sure, but. I mean, he is a true professional in the business, from a performance and a recording and a representation and a, you know, making a living standpoint. But then what makes it work as a local business, and whether this would be franchisable or not, you know, who knows, but it's the community, because it's deeper than taking music lessons. It's deeper than I'm learning this instrument. This community, you know, we're showing up to gigs with hundreds of people that just enjoy hanging out with each other, and it's infectious. And you know, there are great music cities. Indianapolis is a underrated music city. It's not had this electric scene, and I see Rock Garage as being a catalyst toward that scene. For the city, that just attracts people that are cool and just want to hang out and you know, listen to music that runs across you know, several spectrums of the genre.
I think the tough thing for me though, because like the Motown thing and the artist development deal, and I think we should get deeper into that because there's a lot of tendrils to that whole question. But if you're Motown or any record label in the old days, and you're brought in and you're being primed for success, whatever that means. Here's your producer, here's your costumer, here's your choreographer, blah blah blah. If you didn't cut it, the A&R person or the producer in charge could go, sorry Bob or sorry Barbara, you're out of here. If I'm paying for this service and all of a sudden I get to the point where it's like, you know what? I don't know if you're going to cut it in this cover band or this original band, or, your parts really aren't going to be good enough for this recording. How do you deal with those situations when I'm basically, hiring you to kind of bring me along and get me, because you're going to run into people, and no matter what your teachers do, no matter what your consultants do, there's just people who just sadly can't cut it professionally. We all know that.
Yeah, I tell them they have to talk to Preston.
Good call.
Nice.
No, seriously. I mean, he's the music director of this whole thing. Yeah. Preston, take a shot at it.
Yeah, this is, first and foremost, this is like I said, a music school. The artist development is going to be for the groups that are further along, that have been in the program longer, that have gone beyond beginner or even intermediate status, that have really blossomed into something special. So it's not really necessarily like doing that type of artist development for a new group of kids that just came in, last month. It leads up to that. So everyone here is there is no you're not good enough. It's not like a cut and dry Motown thing like that. This isn't the music business first. This is a music educational thing first.
Yeah.
We're providing that next stepping stone for the ones when they are ready to get there. We have this one band here. They're called Face and Daylight. They range in age from 13 to 18, and they've been around in the program in different incantations for about 5 years. When they first came in, they literally, drummer couldn't play Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, and the guitarist couldn't play a power chord. And now they're playing stuff that sounds like Sean and Polyphia meets, Dream Theater or something. It's incredible how far they've come.
Awesome.
So now they are, they're obviously one of our ones that's we're working on recording them and or working towards recording them and getting some things out. A band that's coming in and just learning their first Ramon song, that's going to be a minute for them, but it's a evolution, just like any school program. Think about college football. The freshman that comes in may not be ready for the pros the first year, but by the time he's a senior, he's going to be ready for the pros. He had to go through that experience, learn, grow, get more mature as a player. This is kind of the same thing where, and that's why we put such a big emphasis on doing things in groups with kids and getting them out performing quite a bit, because again, you guys are all musicians, the benefit of playing on live versus just in a rehearsal room. You can't, there's no shortcut to that experience.
Yeah, and realize, half of our members are under 21.
Right.
The other half are over. And so the rock and roll dream is different for those folks. So
yeah,
our real product, like Preston said, is access and development. Now, there's the opportunity with some of these folks to really blossom, and we have more and more to offer. But our product is not putting the next boy band together and hoping to land it big. That would be the creme de la creme, and we would love it. Who knows? They might outgrow us, but we have an opportunity for everyone at every level to come in and be part of this community. And whether it's it's your hobby as an adult. You want to dust off the rust. You used to play in a band in 1986 and it's just, and now you're an empty nester. Or these kids like Preston talks about, who are so amazing in the rapid progression. I mean, it's just incredible when you watch a 12-year-old to, get to 16, and it would take me 40 years to improve that much. And so that's where I think the artist development can actually lead to the next level.
Well, let me ask you this. One of the things that I hear from the pros when we have the pros on the show is when they hire people, and I was just talking with Preston's wife before he came on camera about this. They kind of hire people. Talent is kind of secondary to, are they a good hang on the tour bus? Are they somebody that we can get along with? Are they somebody that's has a drug problem? Somebody that has emotional instability or crazy, friends or family members that are going to cause drama on this. So is there a character development, especially since you're working with a lot of younger kids, is there a character development element to your program?
I will bring that in a lot during the course in a kind of natural, organic way in the course of working with the groups in the time that we're working on music. If I feel like someone's not being as respectful as could be, or saying something in a way that may not be taken well by another member, I'll bring in real life experience and bring in ideas like that. Like, look, you can have person A over here that plays amazingly. You can have person B over here that plays amazingly. This guy's an a-hole. This guy's cool. This guy's getting a job.
Right.
So basically, don't be a jerk, and your chances of getting somewhere and having longevity are that much better. It's not just about your musical skill, not your musical skills. And you're 100% right. You're spending if you're on tour, you're an hour and spending an hour a day on stage and 23 in a bus or a hotel room, and you better like the people that you're with, and you got to be cool.
We are definitely not intentionally a character development company, but I do think the thing that brought me together with Preston and Rocky and the rest of the staff is you've really got to be a good person, and that goes back to this community. There are so many different type of people in the community, and rule number one is you got to get along with everybody. So there is a lot of character development organically, like Preston said, but an output of the offering as a non-negotiable. No jerks, no, be nice to everybody, just the golden rule stuff.
Well, I love the whole teaching aspect of that, and how, you do kind of, nurture the musicians on whatever, whether they're young and they actually have a chance to get a major label contract if they want to go that way, or older, it's probably not going to happen for them. So for them, it's probably going to be YouTube, Instagram, whatever, to have any kind of an impact. But it's also good, I think, because I got to tell you, all the years I spent a guitar player, all the years I spent in studios and stuff, it's still amazing to me that so many, especially, guitar players, hey man, if I got my technique down, I don't give a shit about being nice. I'm so good that the next tour, the big star is going to want to hire me because I am so awesome. And they forget the fact that no big star is going to want to put up with your bullshit. And of course you have to have a certain level of talent to be able to grab the moment when it's presented to you, for sure. Hey, you can't be a good guy and a horrible, bass player or whatever and expect to get called. But it is a little bit more of, you should be as cool or cooler a person as you are a player.
Yeah, without a doubt. And we don't preach it. We don't, this isn't the Boy Scouts or anything, but it.
Well, hope not.
A lot of the little life lessons that I'll bring in my experience from touring days, or whether it was bigger tours or the crappy clubs in a van. If something is relevant, I'll bring it up. But we definitely make sure that we maintain a level of civility in terms of just everyone being cool. No one gets to be a jerk. No one here is more important than the next person. Everyone here is paying the same amount of money to be here, and we're all here, and we're gonna, if we're working on, let's say we're working on a new original song, I'm like, we listen to every idea, we try every idea. We're not gonna veto something until we listen to it, and then it's kind of take a vote as a majority, but we're respectful. We try anything, and sometimes the ideas that seem the least likely as something that would work are the things that are really, really cool and are the best idea yet. So I make sure that it stays as democratic between all the band members as possible, both through the way we select our songs and in the songwriting process, to just make it totally and completely as fair and democratic for everyone as possible.
Yeah, I think that's another differentiator that Preston's had for years and years, and that is involve the artists in the program, but bring in professionals like Preston or our other instructors to say, you know what you want to do won't quite fit the band's talent level, the sound, whatever it is, but you've got a voice, and how do we mold that together? As opposed to being, here's a catalog of pre-approved songs, and this is the next one we're going to do.
Yeah.
What is the makeup of boys to girls or men to women at the present time?
I would probably say it is.
Well, there's. I see one girl.
She's the girl.
Yeah.
This is my wife.
But is it predominantly boys at this point, or is it what's it?
I'd say it's 60-40, 70-30.
Okay, well 60-40 is actually pretty good. I thought you were going to.
I was going to say 60-40, Preston, because we have girl drummers, guitar players, bass players who are playing in multiple bands, both youth and adult, and they're incredible. Yeah, they're absolutely incredible. So, it is different than when we grew up, where it was the guys that were in the rock bands.
Yeah.
Well, it's still. I mean, that is awesome that you've been able to get that level of percentages, because typically, unless you're, the kind of kids rock camp, which is about where you're at. Some of the other programs have been typically 10% female or 15% female. So that's awesome that that's happening. And by the way, Preston, could you introduce your wife there, who's also a major component of this whole endeavor?
This is my wife, Rocky Nash, and
hi.
Again, we
hi, darling.
This all kind of stemmed from things that we've been talking about over the last 20 years that we've been together to do, and so
actually, that's fine. We the funny thing is 20 years ago, I'd never been to the East Coast. I was born and raised in Indiana, and he decided, we met, and he wanted to take me to the East Coast because he was born and raised in New Jersey. And so he's like, let's go. And on the road trip, he said, if we ever had crazy rock star money, what would you do? And I said, build a rock school.
Now, I know that in predominantly in the School of Rock campuses we have out here in California, it's pretty predominantly classic rock that the students are interested in. Is that kind of the same thing that you're finding there, or is there more of a funk or prog contingent, or is it all over the place?
There's a little bit of everything. We have some groups that want to do just the blues. We have some groups that have done just all AC/DC songs. We had an all Michael Jackson group at one point. And with the band members picking the songs that they want to do, most of them, it's especially with the adults, it's a very much a largely classic rock type of thing. But
each band has their own personality. The band that the three of us are in together, it's darker punk metal versus we've got 80s, poppy rock. We've got singer-songwriter. We've got classic rock. Some of these kids are prog rock that is just, off the charts, whether it's original or they're, covering Rush, at 12 years old. So that's another thing that attracted me from a business standpoint, is that it wasn't channeled in this slim catalog of classic rock, that of course everyone in the audience knows the songs. It really runs the gamut. It'll be interesting to see. And this is, I throw this out without even talking to my partners about it. But, it'll be interesting to see how this blends into country, hip hop. Because the nomenclature on the sign is, rock garage, and there is a blues rock component to virtually every band we have. But with our mission being more artist development, the right mix of people comes together, and suddenly, you've got a pop band, and there's no intentionality down any one pipeline, but I'm excited as to where the artists and the members might take us.
Because it's mostly them that kind of leads the curriculum.
It's got to be the band chemistry. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. So if somebody came in and said, "I'm, oh my God, senior moment. Taylor, sorry, first name, help me out here.
Swift.
Taylor Swift. Yes, thank you. Thank you for saving me there, Dave.
Or John Taylor. We remember him.
Yeah, I remember him. But if somebody comes in and says, Taylor Swift inspired me to take guitar, then that would be okay. If we get another couple of students who are willing to go down that road, then here we go. We can do Taylor Swift stuff. We can do pop stuff. We can do anything.
We've had bands do Taylor Swift songs. What's that Polaroid song, or the what the hell is that one?
Well, don't ask me, because I don't even know. I even screwed up her name there. So.
Shake it off. There was look, if
we're doing Walk Like an Egyptian,
I look at it this way: there's 12 notes, and there's a certain number of chords and beats, and even if something is not a rock song, we'll make it a rock song. So, or we'll make it work within what we do. So, yeah, we've done Taylor Swift songs, we've done country songs. Dave mentioned the songs of the group that we kind of do together. We go from we have an E medley, we call it. We go from Jane's Addiction to Sponge to Neil Diamond to the Deftones to Volbeat
to the Misfits.
To the Misfits, yeah.
Because always everything leads into Misfits.
Everything leads into the Misfits.
It's good to know.
So I'm thinking about this. Mike's worked for labels and all kinds of stuff in his career, done all levels of artist development, everything, Mike, what do you think? Like, if somebody in Rock Garage, if they get a band and it's like, man, it's just fire, and it's young people, it's the right mix. How do they, in today's world, how do they get to a label? How do they get to that decision point? And then how do they get a hold of a label nowadays? Like, before the idea was you put your mixtape and, and mail it to the label or give it to some whatever. Like, what do people do nowadays?
Well, I think the amazing thing about Rock Garage is that, what your company is doing is so valuable to young people and old people alike, because you really do have to train artists these days to be able to do everything. Because, the labels, for the most part, this is no secret to you guys, they want masters, they want artists who are ready to go. And I think that's one of the things that's fallen down in a lot of the teaching. Because, like, even what I think you mentioned, Preston, about playing live, it's like there'll be these amazing YouTube artists who, if somebody picks them up and decides to manage them and they put them out on the road, all of a sudden it's like, crap, what do I do? And either they're not as evocative as their YouTube videos, or they freak out and don't want to do it anymore, or they figure it out and they're awesome. So, I mean, I just think it's sad that labels right now kind of want you ready to go. And it's sad that an artist doesn't, is not allowed to just be a good musician, a good instrumentalist, and a good singer, or a good charismatic person. It's like you also have to be a marketer, you have to know all that. So the fact that you're putting this out there to your students at an early part of their development, I think is amazing. Because I'm kind of circling around Matt's question, but I think that what you're doing is invaluable, because it's really all this other stuff. Nobody, and also too, it's that sad thing that we've discussed this before with some of the other guests we've had. There's no telling whether you're going to have the charisma to have a label or a public or a manager go, you're the one. I'm going to put my money behind you. You could be the best guitar player in the world, and if you don't have the charisma or people don't like you, you're screwed. You're not going to go anywhere. So that's something that you're teaching, or anybody's practice regimen at home, or how devoted they are to their career. That's always outside the bubble. What's going to happen, because you can't market something into the stratosphere. But I love what you guys are doing, is at least saying, we're going to prepare you for everything that you need to do, which is awesome.
As much as you want, because there's the guys my age that just finally have time and say, you know what, I've missed playing drums, I've missed playing the guitar, and I'm looking for this hobby, and that's as far as I want. Where there's others that have a different dream, and not limiting what our package would offer, I think is key to the value that we bring. But at the same time, like I've said before, our product is not, we're producing the next boy band. It's not at all. We're producing an experience, building a community, and giving with the resources of professional instruction, experienced industry professionals, all the backline you could need. You can take it as far as you want. And, it's like a tech incubator. We're like an incubator because it's focused on the core of artist development, and every facet, not just the technical side of playing, but it doesn't downplay this technical side of playing. It also incorporates showmanship, playing as a band, general understanding of music. Preston's ideas for clinics are just through this roof. Whether you want to be a classically trained musician or really work the way up through the music biz.
Well, I still think it's a mind blower about getting the gigs and getting the gear. When I ended my professional career and started just doing club gigs around the San Francisco Bay Area, I missed a lot of gigs because I walked outside my door waiting for the bus to come by and the stage manager to pick me up and throw me in and tell me where I had to go. Wait a minute, I have to do this for myself now. If I live near you, I would join your thing today just because I would love to be able to just walk into a club and play.
No, that's legit. And it's like, if you guys are kind of taking the pain, like, especially for, I'm thinking people my age, there's a lot of weekend warriors that were in bands when they grew up and they just want to keep playing music because it's fun. And, I know a lot of people that were doing that before, hauling all their equipment, and so they work a 9 to 5, they get home and they're like, man, they get home at 2 a.m. and they're like dead for 3 days. It's just very difficult to do that if you have a family and a job and all of that. But taking the pain point away where you haul the equipment, it's kind of like you're giving them a rock star ballet or something, where you're just, you're making it easy for them to just do the fun part. It's like a sandwich with the best part of the sandwich only.
Yeah, and how many times has a cable gone out, or somebody dropped the PA speaker, and it's like, our job is to have a spare. Yeah, our job is to make sure that the show goes on, where they're not worried about any of that.
Right. That's cool, man. It gets them right in the seat. I like
Well,
that.
what Preston, what would you say? It's going to be hard to generalize, but for the most part, when a younger student comes to the school, what are some of the things that they're lacking that you have to work on? And then the same question for the older squad. You know, are there any specific things that tend to always come up, like it's technique or understanding of the genre?
It varies literally from person to person. There really is no one thing. With the ones that just want to take private lessons, we just get them into, private lessons. For the ones that want to join the band program, I meet with them all first for like 15, 20 minutes. Met with a drummer today. And just not to audition them. It's not an audition. It's kind of just to meet them, assess them a little bit, see what they can do, what they haven't done yet, find out a little bit about their experience. And through that process, I'll find out what people need to work on, what they have done, haven't done. Like I said, we've had kids that come in and they've had guitar lessons, but they didn't know how to make a power chord. And I'm like, okay, well, this is something that you'll learn. And then, next thing you know, they come in and they're playing it like they invented it. So it just really does vary from person to person. There's no one, not even general sets of things. It's really as individual as every single person is.
Well, and I think the band takes on a personality. So there's the technical side of playing where every member comes with their own set of technical skills. But the performance has to belong to the band, and it's got to match the style of the band. And you can watch a great band, that's spitting blood and fire shooting out and, all that kind of stuff. Or you can watch a band where they really don't move. And both shows were awesome, but it was because it was that band. And it's really watching that chemistry evolve. It's not formulaic. It's allowing it to evolve. We don't have a predisposition as to, this is what we're going to put together. But when they start to put together the whole package, where it's like that band has that sound, that look, that show, that's, I think, when we know now we've added value.
Yeah. And I think about, we're all seemingly around the same age. I'm 52.
Wow, that's old.
Yeah.
I love the Ramones as much as I love Rush. Obviously, two totally and completely different bands in terms of everything: their sound, their style, their technicality, but each one has their own place and their own value. One of the things that we are trying to do while we help everyone improve as individual musicians to be the best him or best himself or herself is also, realize that regardless if you are the next Eddie Van Halen or the next Johnny Ramone, again, two totally different styles and two different levels of technical ability, there's a place for you. So strive to be the best you. We're going to help you get to be the best you that you can be. And, don't compare yourself necessarily to another. Strive to be, take your influences and, let's get you to the best Dave Follinger that you could be versus trying to make you something that you're just not. The chemistry part for the bands is very important, but also the understanding for each individual that, find your voice. Your voice isn't Dave's voice or Eddie Van Halen's voice or Prince's voice or whomever. Let's find you and help you develop your voice.
Yeah. By the way, it looks like some of your students are on YouTube. Do you see the comments on the side there? I think
I don't see any comments. How do I click on comments?
Yeah,
says the 51-year-old guy.
Yeah,
hey,
they're kind of rock stars already. Like Nibo is saying, we're totally the heaviest band. So there's already that's.
And then Liam. That's supposedly Liam.
Liam. Oh
yeah.
Shit. Yeah.
You guys have taught them.
That kid's insane.
Taught them well. You guys have taught them well, apparently.
Yeah. There's an 8-year-old that played with Green Day. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on the
Naibo.
I'm kind of the COVID thing. What were some of the challenges of changing your, let's say, your private lesson model where it's two people together in a room to online? Was it seamless, or did you have to kind of re-evaluate the curriculum to make it work virtually?
Not many people are going to say that it played in our favor to open a business during a global pandemic. So, you know, when everything shut down in March, the way this whole thing started is I started a Facebook group, and there's over 800 members now worldwide, called the Rock Garage. And we had people like Preston would lay down a drum track, and someone else would put a guitar track to it, and someone else would write lyrics. And all of a sudden we have music, you know, going. And it's like, but it wasn't monetized, you know, it wasn't helping the musicians that were stuck at home. And so that's when we launched rockgaragemusic.com, which was based on really modeled after the Bon Jovi cafe of, you know, pay what you can, because we're all in this together. And a lesson you could pay as little as $5, you know, market rate's 30 in Indiana for a half hour. And the instructors were all online. Hey, I get it. I only get my cut of $5, $10, 15, 20. But the positive energy behind this is what led to, in June, you know, we opened in this, you know, crappy warehouse, which was huge, so we could social distance. But we realized, hey, it's a new normal. So there's got to be a disinfection protocol. There's got to be a social distancing protocol. And then as we built out into our existing space, you know, the first blueprint that we drew up, lots more rooms than we have right now. And then we made a modification. It's like, these rehearsal rooms have to be bigger. And, you know, to allow for us to accommodate really the needs of working together, you know, in person. And so I think it worked as an advantage, because any competition probably already had their infrastructure established. How do you make a 10 by 10 room any bigger? You can't. You know, we made it into, you know, 20 by 30. And so the whole space was designed with, you know, safe social distancing in mind, with a online component. Although I'll say, and maybe this is a Midwest thing, I think people's need for connection, knowing that there's a safe place to connect in person, it's been way stronger than our online offering. But that's been at the forefront of, you know, of our strategy. And thank God that we were launching this at a time we could consider that and be the architects to have it evolve in, from, you know, whether it's the disinfection protocol or, you know, we never thought of mandating all vocalists have to have their own microphone. Mm-hmm. Now that's, you know, it's just a non-negotiable, and we'll help you procure a good microphone at a great rate. But you got to have your own if you're going to sing, because we can't risk the safety of our members. And as we've managed through this, even today, we're managing through a situation where we're contact tracing, making sure that certain members, you know, we can't have you in until you have a negative test. But that's managing a business in today's world.
Yeah.
And so there's a social responsibility. This is, of course, we're a for-profit business, but if you're going to build a community, you've got to have a sense of social responsibility, or the community will be really fake and they'll figure it out right away.
Yeah, well, and it's kind of unfortunately, it's kind of a state by state thing too, because let's say if I wanted to steal your business model, hey, I'm going to have 30 by 30 rehearsal rooms, and everybody gets their own mic, and we're going to test everybody. You know, in California, I still don't know if I'd be able to open that, right, because it's an indoor business. You know? I mean, there have been some communities that have opened up more, that they're in the orange.
We are phase. We are no doubt in a great position. And that's why we moved in June. to open up in this warehouse. And then, like Preston said, September 1st, we've been in our permanent facility. It was an idea, and it really came down to a decision of the partners. It's like, it's now or never, because there's an opportunity in Indiana, and we can be the first mover. And it's not something that everyone can grab onto. Hopefully we return to some sort of familiar normalcy, and that allows for us to expand, or other people to, bring in competition that raises our bar then, or, but that's how business works, right?
Mm-hmm. So for the younger students, the parents are pretty much trusting you that your business is keeping their kids safe. Then, in other words,
we're following all the guidelines and all the protocols that are required, not just in the state of Indiana, but Marion County, where Indianapolis is located, has even more stringent policies in place, and we're following all of them to the best of our ability to make sure that everyone feels safe. And so far, we've had really zero issues in terms of anyone having an issue with how we're doing it. Some things we've had some members that didn't want to, they just weren't ready personally to come back into a program like this, but it really didn't have as much to do with us as it did to just their own comfort level in general. In terms of social distancing and being around other folks.
And even as recent as today, I mean, we're making business decisions that are restricting revenue because it's the right thing to do. And that's doing business, in this day and age, and, over communicating to our members, making sure that they're very aware of the situation, right, and not having the almighty dollar drive every decision. We're a for-profit business, but we've also got to be here for the long haul. And so we have to be the best at managing through this.
Yeah. And, people are going to remember that when things open up. The people that were careful and considerate and tried to provide services for the community, but at the same time, as safely as possible, that's going to be in your favor, a year from now, when things are like, hopefully wide open again. And, I was just going to say the idea of people creating businesses that are pandemic proof, it's like, you don't get an earthquake proof house until you've lived through an earthquake and your house was ruined,
right.
You just, like, now that we know, I think people are starting to say this could happen again,
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of live on the San Andreas Fault, and I don't even know if my house is earthquake proof. So I don't know. Sometimes you just walk into the abyss. But I was going to say, I think it's a tribute to your staff too, that they're willing to, as you said, sometimes if they had their lessons online were $5, you got a percentage of $5. When Matt and I were talking to some people early on, there was certainly a reluctance and a fear that, well, wait a minute, I'm used to making $1,500 a gig, or I'm used to charging $90 a lesson or more. And that, when that wasn't happening, there wasn't, I'm not saying everybody did this, but we could kind of tell, I think Matt will agree with me, that you just knew there were some people that really didn't want to compromise that, whatever they thought the rate was.
Yeah.
Well, here's a funny, what Dave didn't mention is when we were doing, strictly online lessons.
Oh yeah, great story.
During the shutdown, I had the idea based on Bon Jovi's restaurant. I'm like, everyone's suffering right now. Who knows who can afford what? Let's do it. Pay what you can. Lesson, and just make a minimum of $5 or something. And Dave had the idea of, on the flip side, let's do a pay it forward. So if someone wants to pay more to help the person that might be paying that can't pay. And it's a weird social experiment. Not one person did pay what you can. Mm-hmm. Everyone paid at least the $30 standard rate. Mm-hmm. A whole bunch of people paid the standard rate. So it's funny how you put people in a situation where if you make them pay extra for something, they'll get upset about it. But if you give them the opportunity to pay extra for something to help someone that you're also given the opportunity to pay less, it's strange how people like stepped up and did something to help their fellow person during a really tough time.
Yeah, and it's really just how you frame it, because businesses all the time raise their rates, and they many times extend the profits of the company to the customers by, creating more value or whatever, know. But if you ask them, hey, do you want to help somebody? That's a win. That's an extra value for them, where they're like, oh, I can help somebody and take lessons. It's kind of an extra thing. And it really goes back to the original, one thing we were talking about, character development. It's really important in the music business to have a generous spirit, and that it really translates to people when you're that way, and they know it, they can tell. And so that's the kind of people that other musicians want to hang out with, is generous people. Like if I go over to Dave's house and I'm like, hey Dave, can I borrow your guitar amp? And he's like, no. I was like, but we've known each other since high school. I'm not going to hurt it. And he's like, no. I'm like, probably won't hang out with Dave as much,
Right.
But it's just that it really, character counts in the music business for sure.
Well, it's, as you guys, we all know, there's all kinds of different people out there. I mean, there's certainly people who, I'm sure we've all done gigs where we've needed a chord, as Dave mentioned, or, somebody dropped a PA speaker. It's like, hey, headliner or middle act, and we use yours, and it's a hard hell no. Why are you even? So, I mean, there are those people. There are people that are going to try to hold you down as well. But I love the fact, since Matt always gives me a hard time about being I'm kind of a punk rock hippie, but I love the aspect that people would pay more to help someone out. And I don't know if the data is available now, but it's going to be interesting to see just the musicians out there who were devastated, no gigs, no way to play, who were doing the tip jar things on their Facebook pages or YouTube, whether people realized that and said, if I was going to see this artist in a club, I'd have to pay $25. I know I can get away with $1, but hey, maybe I'll give this person $50 or something. It's going to be interesting to see how that worked out when this is over. Just from a social experiment, it's not going to help.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how just being nice can work out. And I got to give a shout out, because now I'm watching these comments. Hey JC, our new drummer, he's really bossy, so we're dying to have you back.
The secret communique to JC there.
Okay. I couldn't say it before.
Because Preston's my new drummer.
Oh,
nice. Well, hey, we are getting to the top of the hour, so we got to wrap it up here. And I know it's kind of later in Indiana than it is here on the West Coast, the best coast. Is that true?
Although it's starting to get dark here in San Francisco, that's for sure.
Yeah, Indiana's the best coast. Without a coast.
Well, one thing I'd like to disagree with Preston is Fort Wayne, Indiana is the rock and roll capital of the world. So it should have been in Fort Wayne, not Indianapolis. No, I'm just kidding. That's where I went to high school. So
we could play at Pierre's.
Yeah, exactly. So
God.
Well, let's have some closing comments. So Dave, we'll go Dave, Preston, Michael, and I'll.
Yeah.
All right, Dave, go.
Yeah. First, Matt and Michael, just thank you. It's been awesome. It's a passion of both mine and Preston's to talk about this. It's fun to get the energy of what we're trying to do out there. And so I just really appreciate the time. And, Matt, great to connect with you, man, because we've known each other for a lot of years.
He's still not going to let you use his amp, but he's good to talk to you.
I was looking for a picture from high school, but everyone I found, he looked better than me, and so I couldn't use it.
Dude, tell him about the white fringe jacket. Do you remember that?
You did have a white fringe jacket.
Yep.
Oh my
They used to
God.
call me. The cheerleaders called me Gib Jovi.
Gib Jovi. Oh my God! I'm glad you brought that up.
I'm actually not glad that got brought up because I might have to quit the show now.
This is hour number 2, but I'll stop talking. You guys close out.
Well, Preston.
Just anyway, thanks for having us on. I really appreciate this. An honor. This podcast is absolutely outstanding. You guys are great, and I'm just glad to be part of it. And thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, before I get started, I want to thank Dave for bringing up. Well, actually, Matt did the white fringe jacket thing because anytime he calls me a hippie, that's in my back pocket now, Matt. So just remember that.
You should see my senior picture,
Michael,
where
I've got photos.
Okay, good.
I've got photos.
Yeah, email them. But I just want to thank you both because I think it is awesome and fabulous and wonderful when musicians and business people get together and help kids out and older people and do what you're doing. And I think that maybe Dave, you should mention the website before you go because even if you're in San Francisco like me, I guess you can take online lessons. So you should check out the website.
Absolutely. You can buy our merch. You can buy a mask. But rockgaragemusic.com.
Awesome. And just salute to you guys because helping people get their shit together so that they can survive we all know what the music industry's like, whether you want to be a hobbyist or go for it, you still get the heavy waves. So a tribute to you guys for actually helping kind of make the seas a little calmer. So thank you.
Thank you.
Especially during this and then COVID, and then so we're slowly coming back up the hill again. But thanks guys for being on the show. rockgarage.com, is that what you said?
rockgaragemusic.com.
rockgaragemusic.com. Dave Follinger, Preston Nash, Michael Melenda, and I'm Matt Gibson. Kingdom of Rock out.
Thanks, man.